We're on the campus of the University of Western Michigan. This is a statue of Peter the Great, who was born here in Kalamazoo in 1895. His father was Hambletonian, and it is doubtful if there was any sire in America that did as much to advance the breed as Peter the Great. All major bloodlines extend from Peter the Great. And today, you're going to see some of those trotters right here on Michigan Hoof Beats. This is week 7 of the Michigan Sire Stakes program, and today we highlight the 3-year-old trotting fillies in the Gold Circuit. Hi, everybody. I'm Marty Adler, and the horses are going for a purse of $2,882. Now, the Gold Circuit is not the most lucrative on the Michigan program. However, as a horse begins to excel, it'll move up to the more lucrative circuits later on. And there is a horse racing today that looks like it's ready to start moving up in the classes. Her name is Lumber Lori. She has been just about perfect. She has won 5 in a row, going for her 6th straight. It ought to be pretty exciting. On today's show, we find out whether whipping hurts a horse. We'll find out about an upcoming horse sale, get a thank you from a driver who almost lost a foot in a racing accident, and find out who the most superstitious driver in America is. You know, doing Michigan Hoof Beats affords us the opportunity of meeting new friends each and every time that we go out on location. And the last time we were in the western part of the state, not too very far from here, we were on our way to Holland, Michigan, and just outside of Grand Rapids, we made a new friend. I want you to meet him right here. His name is Officer Kerry. Yes, he said hello to me, and I said hello to him.
This is an envelope here. You'll need to read the back of the ticket, sign it back, and send it in, okay? And if they only need $50 in your set.
And when he was done saying hello to me, he gave me a ticket to the big dance, which I still have today, and certainly, officer, I'll be taking care of that. Now, we're going to meet some more friends because now we're in Kalamazoo, and we're going to head over to the fair and see who we can meet up with next. Well, there was one friend that I made. Now we're in the backstretch at the Kalamazoo County Fair. We're going to meet another friend, and I want you to see her right now. This is Lois Carlson. She's one of the directors of the Kalamazoo County Fair. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you here. But I must tell you, Marty, that is not Peter the Great. That is Western Michigan University's Bronco statue.
That wasn't, you know,
No,
the tourist bureau told me that was Peter the Great. Now I look at, I got to tell you this, he's standing up on his hind legs. I looked underneath. It did not look like that was a stud. And Peter the Great was one of the greatest sires of all time.
That's true.
So it is not Peter the Great? Sorry, but is the story of Peter the Great true?
Yes, it is. There is a bronze plaque here marking the place where Peter the Great was born, and he was born in Kalamazoo.
We have a great fair here. We've been looking around and things look terrific. Tell us a little bit about the fair.
It is a great fair. We have a livestock mall where if it rains, you don't have to walk in mud down by the livestock barns. And this grounds had held the Grand Circuit back in the Depression. And the gentleman that had owned it, of course, lost their money. And instead of them just letting the property go and that, they deeded it to Kalamazoo County with the specifics to be used as a recreation park and a fairgrounds.
And it certainly looks like people are having a good time. I know we're having a good time. We've made a new friend, Lois Carlson. I want to thank you.
You're entirely welcome, and welcome to the Kalamazoo County Fair.
We can see some of the horses getting hitched up in the backstretch. Take a look at the favorite. This is number 5, Lumber Lori. It's the one everybody seems to be talking about. They have the most respect for. It looks like she's got a good shot this afternoon. This is Kevin St. Charles and his wife, Jenny. They are preparing Lumber Lori for her first trip out onto the track as she warms up. Now, let's warm up by taking a look at Kalamazoo, Michigan. Kalamazoo is located 45 minutes east of the Lake Michigan shore, just about halfway between Detroit and Chicago. In its own little corner of the state, Kalamazoo has something for everyone. From cultural activities in the city core to the presence of a major university with all the amenities, Kalamazoo, according to Horace Greeley, is the most beautiful place this side of the baseline of paradise. It is a people place and very quaint. Yet it has the reputation for big business with Upjohn leading the way. Known as the bedding plant capital of the world, Kalamazoo has a strong commitment to agriculture, as noted by the fun surrounding the agricultural fair. And one of the nicest things, of course, about the city of Kalamazoo is the fair, and that's where we are this afternoon. You know, it's sometimes difficult to get information from some of the participants in any of the races that we cover. Why? Because the participants seem to be superstitious. I know when I raced a horse, I was a little superstitious. I'll tell you what, I never, ever walked my horse under a ladder. It was always bad luck. I'd always get into trouble trying to get under a ladder with my horse. So that was my superstition. But let's check in to see just who is the most superstitious driver in America. Are you superstitious? Give me a superstition.
Yes, I am superstition. I don't like people to interview me before my horse races in a big race.
Wait, do you have any superstition?
Oh, yes. Peanut shells. Stepping on them in the grandstand is very bad luck.
Peanut shells?
Peanut shells.
What's bad luck about it?
It's just an old superstition. That's all.
Mark, do you have any superstitions?
Yeah, some much out there. I don't like having much of pictures taken of horses before they race.
For the previous month, I'd use this same shampoo every night. And 2 nights during that month, I didn't use it. Were the only 2 nights I didn't win a race all month.
One of them is like cutting their hair before the race, their bridle pad. And another one is, and it drives me absolutely nuts, if anybody comes in my barn eating peanuts. That's a no-no.
Now meet the Hazel Park driver's valet, Ernie Jack Jackson. Jack is the man who for almost 40 years has been washing and cleaning drivers' colors, shining their boots and setting out their clothes in preparation for the nightly races. We asked Jack who the most superstitious driver was that he has ever met.
The most superstitious driver, no shadow of doubt, is Jeff James. Well, he puts his stuff on a certain way. He's neat about that. Everything got to be right.
Are you a superstitious guy?
Yeah, most of the time, somewhat. Just somewhat depends on the condition, but yes, I am superstitious. I have certain procedures that I go through when I get ready, dressed and prepared before a race. Those are the things that I do probably the same all the time. Take off your street clothes, and depending on what you're wearing, what time of the year it is, if you're wearing summer colors, you don't wear a lot underneath them. Generally just your socks and pair of underwear. Tonight, probably just a light set of short sleeve summer colors and a pair of socks and a t-shirt underneath my colors. The reason that I do it is because it's a routine and it's habit, and I do it to give myself peace of mind from a safety and a luck standpoint. I think there's probably 2 reasons that you do it.
And the Michigan Harness Horsemen's Association Award for the most superstitious driver goes to Jeff James. Well, there's no doubt that Jeff James ranks high on the superstition list. Another superstition, if you're ever thinking of hanging a lucky horseshoe above your door, this is how you hang it. If you do it this way, all your luck is going to fall out. Take a look at one more horse that's entered in today's race that we're covering, the 3-year-old filly trotters. This is GS Way and trainer Kim Pluta, preparing for the first time out on the track. We'll be back with more from the Kalamazoo County Fair on Michigan Hoof Beats. You know, one of the most important people at any racetrack is the judge. He's the guy that oversees everything. Well, is he really? This is Dwayne McMahon. Dwayne, what does a judge do at the racetrack?
Well, a judge's duty is to make sure all the rules are obeyed, and if they're not, enforce them. There's penalties meted out for rule infractions, and that's our job.
What kind of a judge are you? Are you an easygoing judge? Do you take any crap from anybody?
I feel I'm a fair judge. I quite often give warnings, and if the next time that rule is not obeyed, I come down hard.
How easy or difficult is it having to be a judge when there is no photo patrol? You have a photo finish, but you don't have a videotape at a lot of the fairs. How much difficult is that?
It makes it very difficult in some races, especially where you have big fields and they get 3-4 deep on the track. It's very difficult, but we do the best we can do, and that's all anybody can do.
What is the toughest part of being a judge at a fair?
I guess if you know somebody personally and you have to punish them somehow or fine them or whatever, I think that's probably the toughest part.
When you find somebody, what are the usual fines? Let's say somebody goes a slow half. We haven't seen that in a long time, have we?
We don't really worry too much about that out at the fairs, a slow half. We worry about interference, braking rule violations, whipping rule violations, and that sort of thing.
If somebody had a violation of the whipping rule, can you give me an example of what the fine would be?
Well, there's only one example. That's a $100 fine and 3 days down. And the second time it happens is 206 days, and it just keeps going as long as they want to go with it.
So you are tough, but you are fair.
I feel that I'm fair and tough. I think if you talk to a lot of the horsemen, they'll say the same thing.
You're watching Michigan Hoof Beats as we cover harness racing at the fairs. The favorite in this afternoon's race is the number 5 horse, Lumber Lori. She was bred and is owned by Dr. Pat Gorsica. We tracked him down here at the Blackman Animal Clinic.
I've always been interested in horses, but when I met my wife at junior college in '65, her father had harness horses, and so that spurred my interest even more in horses, and I enjoyed the sport, and that's what got me going.
Tell me, what do we have here at your vet clinic? It looks like it's very modern and up to date, just outside of Jackson.
Well, we have primarily a small animal practice. 80% of our time is probably devoted to that, but both Dr. Halstead and I enjoy working on the horses. We do both pleasure horses and race horses, but we really like the standardbreds, so we've added on a facility in the back so that we could treat horses as an outpatient and save us some time on the road.
Now, being a veterinarian and owning a racehorse, does it correlate? Is there any advantage to being a veterinarian and having a horse that's racing?
We don't do any more to our horses than we do to any other horses, basically, but we kind of learn what the pitfalls are and when to make decisions about either keeping a horse and racing it or selling it if that's more appropriate, and it looks like we're just throwing good money after bad.
What kind of a filly is this Lumber Lori, and how do you think she's going to do today?
Well, she's got an awfully good shot. We've kept her where she's going to be competitive in the gold circuit. She likes to race on top, and of course that has its advantages and disadvantages, but she's gotten tough and brave, and she's real steady, and so she has a good shot today, and we'll see what happens.
Now, harness racing can be dangerous at times, and there is one man out there who is very thankful for the help he got in a very precarious situation. Here's a leg that probably shouldn't have been, and we're going to tell you all about it because John Moody has a very special thank you for a Michigan horseman out there. John, first of all, let's find out what is the story with this leg right now. A lot of people in Michigan have heard about it, but not a lot of people know exactly what happened. What happened?
Well, right now, after an incident in the qualifier, looks like I went from having a leg that should have been amputated to probably getting 90% of my leg back. And hopefully, if all goes well, I'll have it all back thanks to the people that helped me out.
Now tell me, how did this accident happen?
Actually, I was sitting 6th or 7th, and the horse on the front end has developed a bad habit of just pulling himself right up and stopping, and he did. And we were all tight-knit and going a pretty good clip, and there was no reaction time for anybody. Mike Johnson, who's a Michigan State Trooper, who was also a horseman, who was here every morning, he came right to me and seen the problem I had, and he just went to work. And I just can't thank him enough because through his experience as a Michigan State Trooper, he just took over the scene, and he's my savior, he's my angel. He helped me out, and I got a leg, and I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for him.
You know, when you come to Kalamazoo, you have to have a kazoo. That was our theme song, in case you didn't quite get that. We're featuring the 3-year-old trotting fillies in the Gold Series this afternoon from the Kalamazoo County Fair. Right now, let's take a look at the post parade. Number 1 is Rompaway Quaint. She is trained by Kelly Goodwin. Kelly will do the driving in 5 starts this year. She has 1 win and over $2,000 in earnings. 2 is Patty Hose, trained by Tony Darling. Charles Taylor will do the driving. 3 starts this year. 1 of them is a win at Mason, Michigan. Number 3 is Stock Market Miss, trained and driven by Scott DeMall. Stock Market Miss has 6 starts, 3 seconds and 1/3. She just couldn't finish ahead of Lumber Lori in her last start. Is going to try and get her today. Number 4 is Call Me Hannah, trained by Darrell M. Hayes Jr. In 6 starts this year, she has a win and 2 seconds. The 5 horses, Lumber Lori. Kevin St. Charles does the training. That's Wally McElmurray Jr. in the bike, and of course, she's the one to beat. She's going for 6 wins in a row in her brief career. The 6 horse is Ben's Delight, trained by Lee Saddleberg. Lee will do the driving. 7 starts this year, 2 wins, a second, and 3/3. The 7 horse is GS Way with Kim Pluta, the driver-trainer. 8 starts this year, a win, 2 seconds, and 2/3. And the 8 horse is Superstar Jackpot, trained by Dan Lozon. Dan will do the driving. Superstar Jackpot has 5 starts this year, a win, a second, and a third. So there is your field. The number 7 horse in the field is GS Way. Kim Pluta does the training and driving for he and his wife, Angie. Let's hear what Kim has to say about his chances with number 7, GS Way.
I got her from my grandpa. She, as a yearling, and I've had her for, well, since she's been for 2 years now. And she, just an average horse, likes a deep, heavy track where the cushion's not so hard. She gets to hit the track too hard, and I think it stings her feet. Hopefully I do okay. I got to beat the 5, Lumber Lori, and I think I got to beat the 1, Rampaway Quaint. They're both been racing good, and especially the 5. She's 5 for 5 races out of 5. She's been first. I mean, that's something you got to look at in racing.
Another horse with a shot in this afternoon's program is the number 2 horse owned by Dr. Bill Hankins. What's curious about this horse is the horse's name, Pantyhose. Okay, Bill, your horse is going to be famous whether it wins, loses, or draws. With a name like Pantyhose, how did you get the name Pantyhose?
Well, we tried to name her legs because when she was a colt growing up, she was all legs. And we couldn't get that, so we thought, well, the next best thing or closest thing to it is Pantyhose. The only problem of it is she does break her trot once in a while, and so...
She gets a run.
She gets a run in her panties, hose.
Okay, I get it. What was your profession when you were in business?
Well, I retired in 1992 as a veterinarian, so this is play and entertainment and a little work.
And you have a lot of fun here at the fairs, I suppose.
Absolutely. I really enjoy the fairs, much more than parimutuel racing.
Part of the equipment that a driver carries is a whip, and some people just shudder at the fact that these pieces of equipment are used to get a horse to move along. Does whipping hurt a horse? Let's investigate that right now. The whipping post is found at the head of the stretch, and the current rule of whipping goes like this.
You can't put the lines in one hand and go to whipping until you get to the head of the stretch.
And that's good for the public, don't you think?
Exactly. And I got a guy here this afternoon. Cost him $100.
That means that these drivers cannot get any muscle into the hitting when their hands must stay in the handholds. But even after they pass the whipping post coming for home and are allowed to free up one hand, does whipping hurt the animal?
Not really. Most of the time you're hitting up on the saddle pad or the shaft of the race bike.
Definitely, if you're standing back looking at it, I could see where people would think it's cruel, but a lot of the whipping isn't on the horse itself, you know, the shaft and the saddle pads and whatever, but I guess if they took it away, it'd reclassify a lot of horses, because some of them won't go unless you ask them to, and other ones go without it.
I'd like to keep the whip. Yeah,
Why do you need the whip?
I think it gets more out of the horse.
The thoughts on whipping in the 90s are evolving as the veterans are changing their tunes.
But I do believe that we should make the rule that you have to keep both hands in the handles. I really do believe that. And I didn't think I'd ever say that when I was driving, but I do now. Because it looks to me sometimes, and it's got to the public, it looks to me like they're abusing the horse. And I just believe that this is going to have to happen someday.
Whipping looks a lot worse than it really is. It's only meant to keep a horse's mind on business. And ornery cameramen. Oh, on me. There, that's better. Now, one of the horses that has a real shot in this afternoon's race of upsetting Lumber Lorry is the number 3 horse, Stock Market Miss. In their last encounter together, Stock Market Miss finished second to Lumber Lorry. Let's hear what Scott DeMull says about her chances this afternoon.
She's a typical Wall Street banker, a little tough to deal with. The best thing she does is race. She's a good racehorse. She's tough. She's gritty.
What do you mean tough to deal with?
Most of the Wall Street bankers that you train have a little bit of an attitude, so you have to deal with that attitude, whatever it might be.
Who do you have to beat today?
Lumber Lorry's been the best so far. She hasn't been beat yet out here, and I was in with her last week and finished second to her. Couldn't get the job done last week, but we'll try again.
Stock Market Miss could pull the upset this afternoon. She should sit right behind Lumber Lorry, so the tension is mounting here this afternoon in Kalamazoo to see if Lumber Lorry can make it 6 in a row. Now, one of the horses racing on this afternoon's card is called Sail on Home. He is a 3-year-old son of Admiral's Galley, who stands at the Pebble Creek farm, who, by the way, is having its co-op sale this coming weekend. We thought that we would trip out to Durant, Michigan right now and see this farm, which is nestled amongst the rolling hills, lots of horses. But watch out for the animals, watch out for the peacocks, and watch out for the mistress of Pebble Creek, Judith Ekstrom. Judy, it's a beautiful farm out here. What are we going to find when we come to Pebble Creek?
Thank you. You're going to find lots of horses and lots of miscellaneous animals.
Now, lots of horses. Who in particular? There's a standout this year in the Michigan Stakes program.
We stand Admiral's Galley, and he's a son of Log, and he's doing real well this year.
How many mares were bred to him last year, and how many are you expecting this year?
We didn't really breed very many mares last year, but the offspring are doing great. They're high percentage, and more people should breed to him.
You've got a lot of horsemen talking about Admiral's Galley. It's good for you. There's a sale coming up this weekend, as a matter of fact. Can you tell me about the sale?
Well, we have the Standardbred Co-op yearling sale here every year, and it'll be Saturday, August 22nd. We're selling 77 yearlings, and we have a lot by Admiral's Galley.
And here is Durand, Michigan. How do you find Durand, Michigan?
You get halfway between Flint and Lansing and go south.
That's the word from Judy.
Yes. We'll see you the 22nd.
Now, this race is going to be at a distance of 1 mile. The horses will start in front of the grandstand. They'll go around once, and that's a half a mile, and they'll go around a second time, and that will make it a mile, finishing up right in front of the grandstand. The horses are now in the hands of the starter, Jim Szabo. Our judge is Dwayne McMahon, and our announcer is Joe Seekman. We're all set for the 3-year-old trotting fillies.
They're at the post, and here they come. Trotters are sent on their way. Lumber Lorry from the outside along with Ben's Delight. These two into the turn. Rompaway Quaint races third along the rail. GS Way racing away fourth is raced well from the back tier. Looking to drop in fifth from the outside. Stock Market Miss. Off stride around that turn was Ben's Delight. Also off stride down the back stretch was Lumber Lorry. This leaves Rompaway Quaint to inherit the lead. GS Way right there in second. Third along the rail, Stock Market Miss now. Back on stride, Ben's Delight trots in fourth. Fifth at the rail, down the backside, Call Me Hannah. 3 wide, Lumber Lorry by the opening quarter. Quarter time, 32 seconds flat, and Lumber Lorry now on stride and rolls up on the outside. Fifth, fourth, now third, and going after the leaders. Lumber Lorry on the front end, it's Rompaway Quaint. GS Ways right with the leaders in second. Ben's Delight tips from the rail and is underway in fifth. Shuffled sixth at Stock Market Myth. To the outside, racing in sixth, Call Me Hannah. Trailers past the half is Superstar Jackpot and Penny Hose. They race by the half. On the front end, Rompaway Quaint. Lumber Lorry on the outside. Halftime, 1:03.4 fifth. At the rail, GS Way trots in third. Ben's Delight right behind the leaders in fourth. Stock Market Miss bottled up the rail, racing fifth. Sixth is Call Me Hannah. Trotters swing down the backstretch, final time. Kelly Goodwin and Rompaway Quaint just a head lead. Lumber Lorry the outside second. Ben's Delight set 3 wide. At the rail, GS Way is racing fourth. Stock Market Miss at the rail, Call Me Hannah sixth. Three-quarter time, 1:36.1. Rompaway Quaint's now a length leader. GS Way looks for racing room. Lumber Lorry and Ben's Delight up on the outside. Stock Market Miss between horses. They turn into the stretch. Rompaway Quaint. Here comes GS Way. Further out in the outside, Stock Market Miss. Through the stretch, it's Rompaway Quaint. GS Way on the outside. GS Way getting up. Rompaway Quaint second. Stock Market Miss home third.
The key to this race happened right in the first turn when the heavy favorite Lumber Lorry went off stride. That allowed Rompaway Quaint to take over the lead, and she led for most of the way. And right behind her was GS Way, who midway through the stretch pulled to the outside, and GS Way wins it by just a head, trotting the mile in 2:08. More from the Kalamazoo County Fair right after this. Kim, you got the job done. You had to think that the race, the way it started off, was a real break for you with Lumber Lorry going off stride.
Yeah, it definitely was a break, and perfect trip right to the head of the stretch, and got out and just got up.
You never like to win at somebody else's expense, but Lumber Lorry, everybody was talking about her before the race. Even you yourself were afraid of her.
Yes, I definitely was afraid of her. I didn't think there was no possible way of beating her.
And now here you got the trip. It went the way you wanted, I guess.
Yeah, it was great. It worked out perfect. She made a break, and Lumber Lorry made a break in the first turn, and he had to use her really hard to come back, and that takes a lot out of a horse.
You got to be thrilled with this filly that you got from Granddad.
Yeah, it was great. I love it. Cheap buy and get to make all kinds of money with it.
Now the big question: where's your wife?
She's home. She had to work, and plus she's taking care of the kids tonight.
Tell me this: was she upset that she wasn't here to see this filly win?
Yes, she will be.
Well, you'll just have to bring her to the next fair, and we'll look for you then.
Okay, thanks.
Congratulations, Kim.
Thank you.
And now let's look at the fastest of the other divisions. The fastest division of the 3-year-old colt trotters went to Arnie's Orphan. The son of Arnie's Priority sat second behind OK Chance until the head of the stretch when trainer-driver Jim Proust pulled to the outside and won going away. Arnie's Orphan is owned by Priority Acres. In the 3-year-old filly pace, fastest division to Judge Jeannie in 2:04 3. With Dawn Harmon doing the catch driving, Judge Jeannie, a daughter of Time to Shop, led from start to finish in defeating Sarah Bristol. She's owned and trained by Rick Mansick of Clarkston. And in the 3-year-old colt pace, that Admiral's Galley youngster that we mentioned earlier, Sail On Home, got the job done in one of the gutsiest performances of the day. He pulled in front of the grandstand, lost his cover down the backstretch, and then went head-to-head with Bloomingdale on the inside, and finally had to hold off a late charge from Raider Breaker on the outside. Sail On Home won in 2:04 and is owned, trained, and driven by Scott DeMull of Ithaca. Well, the day has come to a close here in Kalamazoo. We hope you enjoyed some of the races. Next week, we're going to be in Midland to cover the Spartan Futurity. So come on out to the fair, and we'll see you on Michigan Hoof Beats.